The Florida Department of Corrections is the third largest state prison system in the country. Issues relating to inmate health care and treatment have made headline news in recent months. What reforms and initiatives are in the works? DOC Secretary Julie Jones is with us to discuss what the department is doing to address the challenges it faces. Next on Metro Center Outlook. Hello, I'm Diane Trees. With just over 100,000 inmates and some 22,000 employees, the Florida Department of Corrections is a huge responsibility. Julie Jones, Secretary of the Department, joins us. Secretary Jones, welcome to the show.
Thank you for having me.
You are welcome. Florida being the third largest prison system in the country, how did you tackle getting an assessment and an understanding of the DOC?
After I took the job, I spent 3 weeks prior to actually reporting to duty, scouring everything that I could, working with staff, asking for budget information to try to prepare myself for what would be an upcoming early set of committee meetings. And I relied a lot on the subject matter expertise of the people in the department to get me started.
With you being the fourth new secretary for the DOC in 4 years, Governor Scott appointed you in January 2015. What brought you out of retirement to take on this position?
The governor did. He sold me on the fact that he needed me to do this job. I have a lot of respect for the governor and decided that I would do this for him and for his staff.
What about this area? Was this something that you had knowledge of previously? Were you aware of any parts of this or all brand new?
Interestingly, my background is law enforcement, and I've been a sworn state law enforcement officer since 1983. And from that perspective, you have some idea of the prison system, but you have absolutely no idea on what goes on behind the fence until you actually get there, interact with the employees and with the inmates.
What's the biggest challenge that you've had so far?
Understanding the extent of the population that's mentally ill and making sure that we have services to provide treatment, both therapeutic and drugs.
I know that you have said, I was reading that one of the biggest surprises for you was the large number of mentally ill prison inmates. Is this an area that you're working on?
Absolutely. It was my first priority last session. The governor has put forward several executive orders in support of not only my initiatives, but to increase the state's look at mental illnesses just in general in the population, because what happens prior to incarceration in one's life might prevent incarceration.
With what you're doing, you mentioned the DOC being a whole different entity to try to understand, even though you're familiar with law enforcement issues. How do you balance that safety of your people, the mental well-being of your people, because this is a very stressful occupation area, plus protecting the public? How do you find the balance?
You've actually been the first person to ask me about stress and the well-being of our employees. And there is data from nationally from prisons across the country. Corrections officers are in a high stress position that is rated even above and beyond the stress related to being deployed overseas. And because of that, we have to balance officer safety, but also we need to take into considerations the officers' lives outside of the fence and make sure that we understand what's going on up here when they come to work. And that comes with supervision, and that comes with keeping supervisors accountable for the employees that work under them.
With the support programs, the training programs that you have, is this another area that you would like to implement some changes, build upon?
It's been a recommendation from early on when I started, and now we've had a National Institutes of Corrections study that evaluated our staffing levels, and training was a key recommendation in what came back from NIC. We started with a crisis intervention training, which gives an officer more tools to verbally interact with an inmate as opposed to having to lay hands on them. So how to de-escalate situations, and then also sort of verbally negotiate, and to get to a good outcome for both the officer from a safety standpoint and the inmate from what could be an altercation with the officer. We're going to do more training. We're also going to do more supervisory training. Unfortunately, when the budget tanked, and starting in 08, 09, up until just the recent years, when you start to create priorities, the safety of the officer and the inmates in the Institute was key, but we took away programming, we took away vocational training, and we took away training for our staff as luxury items when you have no money. So we're going to pick that training back up, and as we hire more and more officers, make sure that first line supervisory training and then leadership training to create levels of succession to really strengthen supervision and accountability in the prisons. And that's going to go to your other point, officer safety, but also accountability for those inmates.
There was no legislation passed this particular legislative session for prison reform, but the House and Senate both had proposed bills. How are you working to build the credibility, the trust, so that you might implement some of these reforms yourself voluntarily?
Well, what we did was at the end of session, Governor Scott's first executive order, 15102, codified everything in the House and Senate bills and required that I implement everything that was proposed that did not require legislation. And we're about 3/4 of the way through that.
So the executive orders actually could take a large part of what didn't pass as legislation, is what you're saying.
That's correct.
And allow you then to take the role and implement. Can you give us an assessment? Where is the DOC now? And I mean in terms of morale, for vacancies, your budget issues. Just give us an idea of where you are. I know hopefully it's better than it was in 2008 to 2010 when there was no money for anything.
The legislature was absolutely fantastic relative to budget this past session. They took the governor's recommended budget and built on it, giving me a little over $50 million extra in my budget to realign spending relative to expenses. We were raiding salary dollars and leaving vacant positions in order to pay the bills. Extra dollars for inmate food, clothing, and then realign the budget in order to accommodate the needs of our probation officers. A lot of people forget that the Department of Corrections is not only the corrections officers inside the prison, but it's all the felony probation officers outside that deal with those inmates upon release. So the budget went a long ways toward helping me stabilize, and what we have to do now is build on that budget to start to look at staffing and to look at fixed capital outlay, which is going to plow money into fixing some fairly old facilities. And again, once we do that, then the next step is trying to invest more in our employees.
Now, that extra money that you were talking about, that came out of the June special session, correct?
That's correct.
Right. And so it sounds as if you're meeting with the legislative and you're testifying in front of the committees, that they're hearing what you're saying and hopefully working with you towards some of these improvements. You mentioned the executive orders by the governor. Can you give us a brief outline what some of those directives would include that you can do or that you want to do?
The first executive order, like I said, codified the two legislative bills, but it built on the accountability that the legislature thought was necessary for the department. It added a fourth region. We had 3 regional directors, so it divided the workload into another region, and it required that those regional directors visit those prisons on a quarterly basis and look at security measures and basically audit those facilities. It also requires them to maintain my policy of zero tolerance for retaliation against officers or inmates.
So you are doing your own oversight, and you've added another district involved.
That's correct.
Okay. So with the budget, and it said we can always use more money in the budget, a lot more. Did that pull you up to a point, do you think, that you can make some of these initial changes that we'll talk about a little bit more later? Are you at a good point with that?
I'm at a very good point. Again, stabilizing and giving my staff more time to develop plans for the future. I have a 5-year plan for everything, and that includes fixed capital outlay, staffing, and for me to get the information that I needed last session in such a short period of time. I relied a lot on staff, and now that I've drilled down into specifics, I think we're in a good place to then make another move, not only for funding, but a little bit of a reorganization, and again, address staffing.
Has the year gone quickly for you?
It has flown by.
A lot to take in, though.
Yes.
When you say for an overall assessment, tell me again about the vacancies. Are you pretty well staffed now? Are you still looking? Are you looking for specific kind of staff to meet some things that you want to do?
The governor's second executive order, 15134, required that I stand up 2 prototype prisons. And the governor's kind of a show me kind of guy. And when I talked about filling all my vacancies and then reevaluating for staffing levels, he said, I want you to give me the basis for that analysis, and not only to have a subject matter expert come in and tell you this is what the formula says, stand up a prison and show me how the post charts work. Mm-hmm. So we have in that executive order picked Lake Correctional Institute, which is our big mental health hospital, again in keeping with my mental health priority, and then Liberty, which is a good prototype for a standard operating prison.
We're going to take a short break, but I do want to come back and talk a little bit more about those pilot programs. Thank you. When we return, we'll continue our discussion with Secretary Jones. Stay with us. We'll be right back. Our guest today is Julie Jones, Secretary of the Department of Corrections. Secretary Jones, you mentioned before that you had a 1-year plan and more of a strategic plan. Give me an idea of what you've come in for this plan of action in the 12-month period here.
It was important in order to define a new direction for the department and also move the needle on my expectations for accountability, but also culture, that attitude and belief that I want our officers to have, and our inmates for that matter. So I felt our officers needed, we talked about training, but they needed more HR support. So the first year plan is somewhat bureaucratic, but a new disciplinary process, a new promotional process, training recommendations, increases in our recruitment efforts, and a little bit of a change in the recruitment effort. All to support ultimately our officers and put everyone on a level playing field. So there is no favoritism. Everyone is awarded and recognized based on their accomplishments, and then beef up the training to help with succession planning. So there was a lot of work on basic functions in an agency that I didn't think properly supported our officers, which is very, very important.
I think it's interesting that you are focusing, not that it shouldn't be, but your focus has been on your staff, because I think so much focus is what happens with the inmates and the reactive end, and not maybe the proactive side of things. And it sounds like that's what you're attempting to shift a little bit.
Our officers work in an extremely dangerous and very stressful, difficult environment. And we did surveys early on when I started, and 92% of the individuals, and over half my staff answered the survey, so 10,000 plus individuals, 92% of those individuals identified with rehabilitation and rehabilitating inmates is part of their job. So giving them the tools and the confidence to do that is very important, not only in the hiring but also in the training. And you then are given the opportunity, when you hold people accountable and then give them goals, to really pick out the stars and to be able to give those folks an opportunity to promote and to do different things in the organization.
Right, you're building that culture and that pride back into the positions. Talk a little bit more. We talked briefly about the 2 pilot projects for the 2 designated correctional institutions. Can you tell us a little bit more about that? What's taking place? And you mentioned one was at where you had a large mentally ill inmate population.
We actually have a hospital. We have a mental health hospital behind the fence at our Lake Correctional Institution. And it's for inmates that are in a very difficult situation. We have bipolar, schizophrenic, patients with dementia, inmates with very difficult mental illness issues that drugs aren't going to help. They need a therapeutic environment, and they need a very intense environment. So getting that staffed, not only with medical staff, but security staff to aid in, sometimes security has to help nurses give meds, something as simple as that. Right. So making sure that we understand what the optimum environment is in order to help these inmates at least live a decent life while they're incarcerated, but hopefully past that threshold that we can put them back into general population, or at least step them down to a residential treatment bed to give them more opportunities while they are incarcerated.
Well, you have expressed that it's a necessity that there be a comprehensive rehabilitative process designed to reduce recidivism rates. And I wanted to ask you, what did you have in mind? I'm sure you have a plan.
I do have a plan, and we're very good at incarcerating people.
Yes.
And we need to start that rehabilitative process now. And the incarceration part was part and parcel of the budget and the budget difficulties. So we're going to work collaboratively with our probation side to start to implement alternative sanctions to keep individuals that are on probation from coming back to prison just solely based on a technical violation. And I'm hoping as we reduce the prison population, I can then plow those savings back in to the existing infrastructure in the form of better buildings, better classrooms, and then better training opportunities. Many inmates come into the system in poor health just because that's the environment that they lived in outside. Many have mental health issues or get mental health issues when they're incarcerated, and substance abuse or co-occurring substance abuse. You can't get someone, if they're mentally ill, to accept training and a change in their life. So stabilizing the mentally ill, and then offering motivational interviewing, offering cognitive behavioral training. We have a class called Thinking for Change, and it's trying to get someone that is thinking criminogenically, thinking negatively, to understand how they got that way in order to get them to change their attitude, which is a big deal, and then offer them the tools while inside to start to build a relationship with themselves and then with others so they can interact in a positive way outside the fence.
Can you make an inmate, what do you do with an inmate that doesn't want to go through a program? Can you force them to do that?
It's fascinating. No, you can't force anyone to do anything, but you can incentivize it enough. And my thought with, especially early on with inmates, treat them like a ninth grader. That's my analogy. You don't ask a child that goes into ninth grade what they want. You give them a schedule. And that's how we're going to approach this, is do a very intense needs assessment as you enter the prison system, and then give a schedule to every inmate based on those needs. For some, mental health first. For others, we have PhDs that land in prison, trying to get those individuals focused on being mentors and teachers.
So utilizing your prison population with the strengths that there may be already existing there. That's
Absolutely, and one of my mental health physicians has coined the phrase mentor health, for getting some of our mentally ill inmates that even in treatment are going to find it difficult to succeed.
Yes.
Often are more comfortable in restricted settings with a mentor, someone that they're familiar with,
right,
and use inmates as mentor for mental health.
That's a very unique approach. I think, though, that you'll find at times public perception, people will still say an inmate, they've committed a crime, they get what they deserve. How do you respond to that?
The prison system is at the end of the judicial process. Your punishment is going to prison. Prison is not a nice place. And I think it's important that because prison is not meant to be punitive, like I said, you've already been sentenced to prison, that we engage these inmates in order to make them better citizens. Because quite frankly, upwards of 87% of those that go into prison come back out to the communities.
What's the percentage?
87%.
That's huge.
It is. And so if you are someone, even a family member or someone in a community, and know that you're going to have someone that's in prison come back and live in your community, don't you want them to be a better citizen with better cognitive skills, with more social skills, and hopefully, if we do our job right, also do a handoff to the community for housing and for a job. If we can get inmates back to their families and get them a job, they have a much higher rate of success, and that lowers my crime rate and the recidivism.
Right. Well, when I was reading the average educational level of incarcerated inmates, and it seems to me if you just bring someone in and you turn them out at the same level, no skills, no job, there's not a whole lot of choice to make in how to get by in life. So it sounds as if, again, you're taking more of a proactive look at an inmate as well as with your staff and trying to change the culture around. Difficult thing to do. Is this part of your 5-year strategic plan?
It is. And the average grade capacity for an inmate, it ranges from 5th grade to 7th grade. I don't think people understand.
I didn't realize it was that low.
It's that low. And so the first thing we do with an inmate that we feel is ready for that educational step is to give them literacy training.
Right.
And that's just to learn to read. Because you think about these tough guys and gals that go to prison that can't read, they're not going to admit that they can't read. But it's a huge awakening to be able to interact with life,
right,
reading books, pictures.
Gives you hope for something else.
Gives you hope.
What would you most like the public to recognize or be aware of in the next 12 months that indicate positive changes taking place with the DOC?
We have a new vision, and it relies very heavily on this concept that success is inspired by one person or inmate at a time. And you've said it's a huge department. It has a lot of employees, a lot of inmates, even a larger proportion of those under probation. So we don't want it to be overwhelming, but we do know that we can make a difference, one person and one employee at a time. And doing that, I think, is going to it'll exponentially start to make difference. So more fixed capital outlay to fix my buildings. We have our staffing study. We've hired 3,000 employees across the agency since February, and we're almost 900 to the good. I have a lot of people retiring. We have a lot of people leaving for other jobs. Continue the hiring, and then really start to drill down into proper programming and staffing.
Right.
That's the next year's plan.
I wish you the very best. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
That's all the time we have for our show today. Thank you for tuning in to Metro Center Outlook. Until next time, I'm Diane Trees.